And thank you for joining us online. Our current topic is Ukraine and the EU transnational programs, 2 years of synchronization. With this, I give the floor to the moderators. I'm Rostyslav Tomenchuk from Ukrainian Institute of International Politics. I'm very grateful to the colleagues who have joined us today. Why we decided to have this briefing today? Because we have been dealing with the Ukraine's participation in the European Danube strategy and Ukraine's participation in the transnational program. We may recollect the recent words by Mr. Borrell that the EU is not an ATM machine for Ukraine, and we would like to understand how we implement the Ukraine's participation in the EU transnational programs. The agreement was signed 2 years ago. We will review the transnational programs in which Ukraine participates, and the times going and participation in the transnational programs appeared to be a challenge for Ukraine, and all the support and financial help delivered to Ukraine on the framework of the transnational programs was considerable. It contributed to much Ukrainian work, and this is now a good chance to review all that effort and to understand where we are now. With this, I would like to give the floor to the Hans Seidel Foundation representative. This is the foundation that supported to the Ukrainian Danube transnational program. I recollect our work on the agreement itself, on the language of the agreement, on translation, on the addenda to that agreement. This required a lot of coordination work in terms of terminology and the content. With this, I would like to give the floor to our partners. Mr. Zaibaling, the floor is yours.
It's a pleasure to be here today for our second meeting. The topic of the new strategy, which we are working together with our partner, the Ukrainian Institute of International Politics, which I am very grateful for their thorough approach to that complicated topic. Well, when we are talking about the European integration of Ukraine, the Danube strategy, of course, is a very vital instrument, but it's a bit complicated, let's say, about that, because it covers so many different topics, different regions, different countries. When we are talking about the Danube transnational programs, then it gets even more complicated. So I think it's a great approach from the Ukrainian Institute for International Politics to work to create platforms like ours today, where we can, in an expert circle, discuss evidence-based questions of that, because I think we all agree that in theory and the value of the European integration and the Danube strategy is without any doubt. But as anywhere, the devil is in the details, and how exactly we can cooperate, how we can exactly we can differentiate between the Danube strategy as such, the Danube transnational programs, what has been done, and not even talking about the way forward, because when we are talking about the scenario and the objectives of 21-27, it gets even more complicated. For us as a political foundation in the DTP, ISO 1, of course, is the most important and the most interesting, which is a better cooperation governance, which again in itself touches so many different priorities of the Danube strategy, different pillars and columns of the cooperation. So I think the approach of the Ukrainian International Institute is exactly right, to get down to the technical basics of the stuff and to create a platform where we can discuss the content and the problems and the way forward of the strategy and the program, where even, like Rostyslav said, even a translation is very vital. So we have all the relevant documents on our working desks, and can talk about the same things in the same categories and the same words, actually. So I'm looking forward today for a great discussion. I'm looking forward especially to learn a lot about the successes of Ukraine in the last few years in that topic. And I wish all of us a fruitful discussion. Thank you.
Дякую, пане Зайбелінг.
Thank you, Mr. Zaibaling. I'm happy that our colleagues joined today's Zoom session. We invited representatives of the Ukrainian Monitoring Committee. We have the Ministry of the Foreign Affairs. We have the National Contact Point in Ukraine from the Ministry of the Regions. We also have the National Coordinator from Slovakia, Mr. Michail Blaszko. I'm happy that we have Mr. Blaszko today because the Slovak Republic will take the chairmanship, the presidency in the Danube strategy next year. Also, in our Zoom session, we have representatives of those Ukrainian ministries which participate in the Danube strategy implementation and which host the projects on the strategy framework. Also, we tried to bring here those participants, those applicants who applied for the participation in the second and third round of projects on the Danube strategy framework. In general, we have 22 participants. I'm also happy that we have representatives from the Chamber of Accounts in Ukraine. That's also very practical to have them. I will make a couple of words for introduction. Why this tool is important for us. We have prepared a short presentation and we will disseminate it among the stakeholders. Our institute is involved into this work because we understand that such cooperation allows us to understand whether we are implementing we have been implementing the association agreement effectively. And doing that, we all understand that better implementation of or approximation to the European standards is in the interests of Ukraine. by the way the applicants to participation in our program, they are not obligatory from the neighboring regions which are adjacent to the border. This cooperation brings together stakeholders from all over the country, and this allows the participants to get experience in better management and in better governance, which is extremely important. Also, the experience of participation in this program allows the stakeholders to try different things, and this brings in the related question whether our management, whether our managerial skills, they are good enough. So the example of the Danube Transnational program is a good indicator how quickly we can move forward in terms of good managerial skills compared to the European level. I would like to add a couple of words. The uniqueness of the Danube Transnational program is that now we expect that it will terminate soon, and this is that very moment in time when we are thinking about the future of this program, how it will be continued, whether we will be able to implement what we had started. There are several slides from the European Commission. These are goals number 1 and 2 from cohesion policy, which was called Interreg. Here you see 3 major blocks which are components to the Interreg program. This is trans-border cooperation, the transnational cooperation problems, and interregional programs. And we are in the first block where you see our 16 programs, 16 any programs, while Danube cooperation is in the transnational cooperation programs. Interregional programs are not used for Ukraine at the moment. This next slide shows that we have 4 macro-regional strategies in the EU. This is the narrower segment. Then we have in transnational programs, and the Danube region is part of that strategy. The Danube Transnational program covers 14 countries, and it finances the projects which are implemented by big transnational corporations. There are 3 baskets which supply to this program: ERDF, the candidate countries, the EU candidate countries get funding and support from IPA. and the European neighborhood countries get from the former ENI. Now this is called NDICI. This is about the budget of the program itself. The budget is 231 million euros, while Ukraine has 5 million were allocated to Ukraine. That is the projects which are applied to the program, which are winners in the contest, they can get that funding. It may look not much, but we do not use even that amount of money. From the cooperation and communication point of view, it is important not the amount is not that important as meaningful cooperation itself. I only mentioned that to demonstrate that the opportunities here are even bigger than our capacity. Who could be the participant of the Danube Transnational program? This could be national, central, local, and regional power bodies, non-government organizations, and the academic institutions. As far as I know, institutions under the Ministry of Education and Science, they applied to the program and provided application and got grants. The administration of seaports in Ukraine also applied for participation in the projects. The first contest we did not apply for it. For the second contest, we submitted 8 projects which got 762,000 euros, and thus we demonstrated that we are able to offer something and to implement something. This year we applied for 9 projects and won 1.8 million euros. The national contact point is familiar with more details about that project. Our preliminary communication suggests that this amount of 1.8 million euros is approximate funding which we expect to get. Here you see the split between oblasts. The projects should be related to the 4 pre-border regions: Zakarpattia region, Ivano-Frankivsk region, Odessa region, and Chernivtsi region. And here you see that how many projects won from each region. The Carpattia region is a champion here. Ivano-Frankivsk Oblast has one project in the current and in previous contests. This year, the oil and gas university has won the contest from Ivano-Frankivsk. Odessa Oblast has got two projects, two grants this time. I am very happy that administration of the seaports participated in the contest and that the regional executive bodies joined the process. But I have concerns about Chernivtsi Oblast because they submitted no projects. We try to communicate with them as much as possible, and I encourage our colleagues to pay attention at that fact. I do not wish to compare this fact with the participation of Chernivtsi region in the transborder cooperation. There is no dependence between the two. But nevertheless, I believe that Chernivtsi region is able to submit applications for the contacts on the basis of EU transnational program and to contribute something. Representation along the priorities.
These are thematic things: innovative and social responsibility in the Danube region, responsibility for environment and culture, better connection in the energy sector, and the issues of management. Next, I would like to speak about this slide briefly. We ended with a block connected with the project, and these are the results at the national level. Unfortunately, national contact point was not able to join us. They said that they are really busy today, and I hope that they monitor the situation. We analyzed all the documents adopted and implemented by Ukraine in order to participate in DTP, and whether this document are enough, I believe we will try to find the answer to this question. We adopted the law on Ukraine on ratification of the agreement on the 19th of September 2018. Then the Cabinet of Ministers adopted the document on practical implementation. They said these were requirements concerning organization of work. The Cabinet of Ministers adopted proper resolution to implement the agreement, and the last resolution adopted in June 2020. Also, it was connected with the issues of beneficiaries and about the money spent in the framework of implementation of this agreement. Before, we didn't have such requirements to Ukraine because we are not members of EU, but we integrate to the European Union, we implement the association agreement, we try to do more, and in this way we get more, but we should implement new rules in Ukraine in accordance with which EU members work who participate in different programs of EU. Bodies of power in Ukraine. So this is about the structure of management. Thank you. Bodies of management in Ukraine, they are the same as in other countries. There should be national contact point that creates a network for 14 countries. A national contact point is a really important body. This is body for communication. It provides communication between bodies of control. These are the representatives of State Audit Service and Accounting Chamber as well. It supports communication with the projects, communication with other national contact points, also with the representatives of monitoring committees. I would like to speak more about monitoring committees. These are the representatives of the ministries of 14 countries. They take decisions collegially on the work of the program, about the priorities in each of the contests. The main priorities, how the projects are chosen, what is the main focus. This is done collegially among 14 countries represented by at the level of the ministries. This is in our country the Ministry of the Development of Regions and Territories. This is our contact point. This is the main communication body between the projects we've mentioned of the second and third circle. And also, this is an important point that implements important role of communication before the contests. It is important to get ideas for the projects when the next contest is announced. Projects should understand whether they will be able to get involved, what partners they may find in other countries. Here, communication beforehand is really important. Each project of DTP is the collection of 15, 17, or even 20 partners. They get involved, and for this, communication is the key at the very start in order to understand how to build the project from the start. Next slide. The national contact point is also about synchronization with other projects of EU. In Ukraine, we have different programs: Horizon 2020, COSME, Creative Europe. They can be supported also by GTP as part of some actions, or Creative Europe, Horizon 2020 in COSME. This can be part that can be implemented, including through the projects and cooperation in DTP. Also, important role is played at the level of the priorities in Oblast. In Ukraine, this is really important. From one side, the contact point works at the national level in Kiev, but the representatives of Oblast participate in DTP. So we should focus on proper communication, and we should understand the priorities of the strategy of development of the 4 oblasts and how they can get involved more actively at the level of implementation of the projects, and how partners from the EU may participate. And also we should promote these priorities of oblasts at the level of monitoring committee in order that in DTP we reflected these priorities that are of interest to our 4 oblasts. Also, in our program, we have separate communication division that supports implementation and development of the projects. This is joint secretariat that also provides for communication between all the countries of DTP. The national contact point is the main communicative body that provides communication with joint secretariat in different topics. These may be branding of contest together with communication unit of the joint secretariat and the issues of development of projects or implementation of projects. At different stages, national contact point is involved in cooperation with joint secretariat. Also, I would like to give the floor to Michail Blaszko. Please, we would like to ask him. He is the representative of monitoring committee in Slovakia. Also, he worked in the national contact point together with his colleagues. And also he is the national coordinator in Slovakia. Please. You are given the floor. Please share the best practices, taking into account that he has experience of 4 years in the framework of the national contact point. Please, Michail, you are given the floor.
An early afternoon from Slovakia. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear.
And thank you for inviting me into this discussion. I would like to provide experiences from Slovakia that hopefully might be helpful for successful implementation of the DTP in Ukraine. In Slovakia, at the beginning, I would like to say that in Slovakia there is one institution that is responsible for all formal aspects of implementation of the DTP. So we have a national contact point as well as a national controlling system together under one roof. Our experience shows that this is very useful, that national contact point cooperates with national controllers in order to define control system at the national level so that implementation of projects is as easy as possible. The crucial role of national contact point, from my point of view, is to provide advice and consultancy to potential national project partners. One of the main goals of national contact point is to achieve the high level of participation of project partners from our country. The participation level in the program, I mean the number of project partners, is very important criterion for us, maybe even the most important. In order to have the highest number or the high number of project partners as possible, we provide many information days. We provide information days which we usually organize when a call is open, in order to inform potential applicants on the content and conditions of the call. Within every single open call we did or we organized these information days. During the whole programming period, we also organized so-called financial seminars, and these were aimed for or focused for final beneficiaries, which were focused on most important issues relevant for fluent implementation of projects. So these information days or these financial seminars were very important for the final beneficiaries to make the implementation of their project easier. We try to attract attention of all actors in Slovak economy, from NGOs through business sector till the public institutions, because their cooperation is crucial for implementing of projects within the Danube Transnational program, taking into account know-how that comes through the projects, even from abroad. Currently, representatives of National Contact Point, personally it's me and my colleague, we participate in the DTP2 task force, which focuses on the preparation of DTP in a new programming period. Here it is very important to consult with national partners the priorities which should be included in the program. We consider experience and opinions of national project partners for very valuable in this respect. In Slovakia, our institution or our ministry that is responsible for implementing of the Danube Transnational program is also responsible for the implementing of the Danube strategy. It was already mentioned, but this is, I think, really important, and it's really, from our point of view, it's really good for the implementation. So I am a DTP monitoring committee member, as well as a national coordinator for Danube strategy. And our experience shows that it is very useful when competencies for transnational programs and Danube strategy are concentrated within one administrative unit. It allows us to harmonize national positions and actions in these two areas. When talking about Danube strategy, it is really and very important to mention that the DTP financially supports and will support priority area coordinators working within the Danube strategy. And here it is very good to run, let's say, national consultations between MC members, Danube strategy national coordinators, and of course Danube strategy priority area coordinators. Another thing, or maybe last but not least, I would like to mention what we in Slovakia consider the most important as challenges for better, or maybe even the better implementation of the DTP next programming period. So we see some challenges ahead of us, and we can see as experience from other countries that there is quite a high dependence of participation of the number of project partners in projects on the providing or on the provision of co-financing from public sources. It means that for us it will be necessary to provide co-financing, especially for small organizations, from public sources, from state budget. It was in Slovakia, it was not like this in this programming period. We had no national contribution from state budget. This will be all the more pressing given that the lower ERDF contribution rate is expected than in the current programming period. For us, I think very important would be also to try to introduce a system of advance payments to start the implementation of projects for the final beneficiaries from state budget, hopefully. Nowadays, smaller organizations in particular have difficulty to obtain cash to start implementing projects, as funding is providing through a system of reimbursement of eligible costs that lasts sometimes maybe more than half a year. So this is something that is quite crucial for better implementation of DTP next programming period. We consider for very important also to increase cooperation and coordination of bodies responsible for all European territorial cooperation programs in Slovakia, given similar rules and the common ETC regulation, increasing coordination, formal and informal, between the different segments of ETC. So it's cross-border cooperation, transnational and interregional cooperation, and we really think that this could bring benefits, at least in the form of exchange of experience. In the next programming period in Slovakia, this dream is coming true because our new government decided that all the funds all the national contact points, all national authorities will be covered under one ministry, for even for all ATC programs. So this is a good starting point for us for the next programming period, and I think this really could bring many synergies in the next programming period between the group or the family of all programs financed by the European Union. So maybe from Slovakia, from the starting point, thank you very much.
Thank you, Michail. I was informed that you haven't heard us in English.
Yes, but
So thank you for so nice communication, even if you haven't heard us and you heard us only in Ukrainian. We appreciate it very much. And thank you for your experience. This is indeed a very nice experience, having 83 programs and coordinating them by like one institution is a very good experience. Thank you very much indeed. Я також запрошую наших учасників написати питання в чаті під трансляцією. Якщо є питання до Міхала, якщо є питання...
I encourage participants of today's conference to ask questions in our chat in Zoom, and later on we will answer your questions. In case of questions to Michail Blaszko, we encourage you to write down your questions in English, because we were informed that perhaps our colleagues do not hear English translation. Now I would like to give the floor to the State Audit Service, who started to build up the controlling system in Ukraine. Tetyana. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Good afternoon to all the organizers. I welcome all the guests and those who watch us online. I would like to add a couple of words as the audit body representative. At the beginning of all that activities, insufficient level was given to the system of control and audit. We underestimated the value of control and the importance of the documentation of expenses for further contributions. Our function is limited with the financial control function on behalf of the state. Usually we act in line with the developed and proved methodology, while it is quite new to audit the projects of the state transnational programs. We translated the manuals about audits of the Danube transnational program and when we made that translation, we understood that the methodology of auditing was slightly different than ours, and this required a lot of changes from us. For us, it would be better to know about all those novelties for us beforehand, even before the signing of the agreement about participation in the Danube program. Our internal control program of the DTP should be done in line with the standard European requirements in order to be recognized by our European partners. As of now, we have not received the passwords for MS program, and we cannot confirm our expenses in the MS program, while the further coverage of expenses from the European program funds would depend on the registration of all the expenses in MS program. And thus that expenses which were carried in 2018-2019 remain non-covered. It is extremely important to build up this new controlling system. And in order to do this, we had developed the manual about first level of inspection or audits. We try to cooperate and establish cooperation with our partners in verifying the expenses. We had established cooperation with the Ministry of Regional Development aimed at confirmation and verification of expenses. Rostyslav and I participated in drafting of the resolution number 1038, and we contributed to the development of procedure for remuneration of expenses. But for Ukraine, it is extremely important to establish efficient communication when building up this remuneration strategy. The quality management and control system is based on cooperation of many Ukrainian bodies, and not only the audit bodies and not only the managerial bodies should be involved. For example, the fraud or alleged fraud is the sphere of law enforcement agencies, and we need to have good cooperation with them. That's why all the state bodies have to cooperate here between each other. Ukraine, as a full-fledged partner of those bodies, is very inexperienced, and here we need support from those countries who have more experience as to management, as to audit. We would like to exchange experience with those countries and to have workshops perhaps with them. We would like to have trainings about MS system operation. We need to have our controllers trained in MS program application. Our controllers should be able to trace back and back up all the expenses correctly in EMS program. This was about the major challenges which we face today. And I encourage participants from other bodies to communicate with us. I'm very happy that today on our Zoom conference we have the project representatives. I can imagine that they have questions to us as the controlling body, while we are responsible to the project participants and we are responsible to the government of this country. So people may expect, I mean project participants, the recovery of their invested funds, and it is our job to help them in this. I hope that during this reporting period, we would be able to confirm our the quality of our controlling system, and that we will get the necessary login and password for registration in the EMS program. Otherwise, Ukrainian image and will be discredited, and we will be unable to involve partners for further participation in the projects. Thank you, Tetyana. Thank you to what you mentioned. I would add a couple of words to explain more on the issue. The Danube transnational programs, like many other European programs, applies different different way of financing, unlike in comparison to the past. The money are spent, then the expenses are confirmed by the auditing body. Then this is downloaded into the database, and the controllers should have their logins. National contact point also should have its login, and when all the parties contribute, then the verification of the expenses is done, and the project leaders then collect the confirmed reports from the project participants, and then 85% of that expenses might be covered from the program budget. The controlling issue had become that audit and confirmation of expenses had become the real issue because we were not familiar with it. Now, colleagues, I would like to give the floor to our partner projects. Please let me know who would like to speak. I saw Ivano-Frankivsk in Zoom, Zakarpattia Development Agency. Dear colleagues, please join us, whether we will be able to hear them. The Chamber of Accounts. The next will be our colleague from Transcaucasia. Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you can hear me. I'm from the Agency of Regional Development in Transcaucasia. Now we have 10 projects, and out of them, 7 projects are the people's projects. We work with the Polish, Hungarian, Romanian programs. And we have questions about the Danube Transnational program. We have 2 projects. If you have questions or comments on the Danube program, please ask them now. I only want to say that we have something to compare with the Danube program. We have the problem with the one project, and we are unable to report our expenses to confirm them. Out of 16 EU countries, the only issue is with Ukraine and Moldova. Our major partners in the projects are in Slovenia, and they informed us that Ukraine has not complied with the confirmation system requirements yet, and only after the new year we will get access to it. The final conference on our project is planned very soon, and the event has to be postponed because of the impossibility to confirm our expenses in the controlling bodies. So now I have this question. So the question is, when that confirmation system will be launched? Let us give the floor to Igor Papadyuk from Ivano-Frankivsk Council. Thank you. Shall I speak English or Ukrainian, as you wish? I represent the Department of Investment Policy. Now we have 7 trans-border projects amounting to 64 million hryvnia. But the biggest challenge for us is the Danube Transnational program. I'm very grateful to the state audit. I'm grateful to Rostyslav Tomenchuk, who supported us in this application for the necessary documents during last 2 years. We applied to 2 presidents, 3 prime ministers, and to all the MPs from the Ivano-Frankivsk region. All the MPs from the Ivano-Frankivsk region. We spent more than 2 million hryvnias from the municipal budget. We announced a bidding procedure for 2.8 million hryvnias for installation of equipment. The Danube project had to finish in July 2020. Due to our efforts and efforts of our partner, the project was extended till March next year. And if our expenses are not confirmed by the state audit in October this year, we will have the collapse of the project. That's why we hope very much and ask very much all the participants of this process to contribute all possible efforts to confirm the expenses of all the beneficiaries in October. Otherwise, all the money spent from the municipal budget will be wasted, and in future we may expect that criminal cases will be opened against us. Thank you so much. I hope very much that we will be audited in October. Dear colleagues from the projects, does anybody have further comments? Oleg Rubel from Odessa Oblast. Will you add a couple of words? Oleg Rubel from Odessa Oblast. They've been implementing the second round of projects. We have 24 minutes. Let us speed up. If you wish to contribute to our discussion, please. Oleg Rubel had asked his question in chat. Whether we have... Can you hear me? This is Oleg Rubel. Igor, I would like to support you the situation is impossible for project implementation by Ukrainian partners because during last 3 years the financial implementation of the projects and protocols related to that are being ignored. Thank you. This is the biggest problem. On the other hand, we would like to emphasize the importance of the Danube Transnational program for our region. We believe that the topical spectrum of the projects may be extended. The projects which we had been implementing, they were related to the innovative research, promotion of SMEs development, work with bankrupt enterprises, and environmental issues like bioenergy and bioeconomy. We expect that further on we will have an opportunity to use pre-financing, which is extremely important for Ukrainian partners. But the most important, in my opinion, is to resolve the legal issues related in general to the inclusion of this to this program of state and budgetary institutions. My projects are based in the National Academy of Science institutions, and co-financing, pre-financing, inclusion of that expenses into the state budget should be shown in the special documents, separate documents. As of now, participation of the state institutions in the DTP could be done at a good level. The state enterprises, except institutes, state universities, usually they do not have their own funds, and of course cooperation. When we look on our European partners, we see that they have co-financing programs, and the same we should do in Ukraine, co-financing. The state had decided that Ukraine should be a party to all this transnational programs. Then the government has to take its part and in implementation of that projects. And co-financing from the national budget should be done at the state level. The only exception may be done for the charity funds, private enterprises, private funds. Besides that, it is important to harmonize this program with the future priorities of the Europe Horizon program in terms of topics, and harmonize with the Black Sea Basin programs. Thank you for your attention and for the opportunity to contribute to discussion. Thank you. We have Mr. Michail Blaszko, who wishes to add a couple of comments. We have the Chamber of Accounts here, because the accounting chamber is that very body who has to produce a supervisory report commenting how Ukrainian bodies work efficiently and how this is related to efficient funding. So now we'll have Mr. Michail Blaszko and then the Chamber of Accounts. Дякую.
Short comments on what has been said. Regarding the sharing of know-how from Slovakia on the implementation of DTP funds to our Ukrainian partners, we are more than open to the further communication on this issue, and we might provide more detailed information on how our system works, on how the controlling system is set up and how the audit system is set up. So yes, we are here. Just contact us. We can provide more detailed information on our system. And regarding the implementation or the launching of the control system in Ukraine, I think this is quite crucial information nowadays, because on 16th of October, so in 1 week, we are having a national committee or monitoring committee meeting of DTP, and we are going to decide on the issue how to spend the leftover budget. So how to spend the remaining and available budget in this programming period. And as far as I know, there is still some money available even from UA ENI fund. So yes, the information about the functioning of the controlling system in Ukraine is or will be very crucial in these days. Thank you.
Thank you, Michail. Thank you very much. Так, колеги з Рахункової палати.
Dear colleagues from the Chamber of Accounts.
Yes. May I start? Tell us, please, about the situation. What we have to do, what is missing in order that everything works. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. First of all, we thank for this opportunity to participate in this round table. I would like to note that as of today, despite the number of issues that were from the audit of the program, that is the General Directorate on Audit, the use of all the finances, and this is body from and also what is from Hungary, together with the Audit, State Audit Service, and also our national contact point. We've reached some progress in creation of the system of control. We will speak that as of today, especially in 2020, there was a significant progress. I would like to remind you that we practically, based on the results of the audit of 2018, we got from the audit of the program the conclusion that the national system of control in Ukraine was created. Based on the results of 2019, we had some progress. And we came up to the system of control that the system was in process of development. This was the conclusion of the audit. As of today, thanks to our colleagues from the audit service, we come up to practical completion of the system of control. There are some issues, of course, but I believe that thanks to our joint efforts, we will be able to work fruitfully, and we will provide information to the bodies of audit of the program in the nearest future. We'll do this. About those concrete steps to create the system of control. Thank you. This is briefly about the matter. Please, we thank you very much. I have a question. And this question from Ivan Frankivsk. And this project, it should have been implemented. Can we get some positive answer concerning system of control in order that in October or in November they be able to get this, check this verification about the timeline? What can they expect, for example, in October and November? The system of control, it won't be recognized by the Secretariat of the Danube program as such as complete. No connection. I would like to give the floor to Tetyana for comments. Once again, good afternoon, dear colleagues. So we do not want to end our meeting on a negative note. Listening to our partners, with majority of whom I spoke by the phone, I have an impression that is really sad. That's why I would like to say that as a state audit service, technically, to carry out check of your documents on expenditures and to fill in checklists to certify your report, we may do this even tomorrow. If keys are provided, technically our specialists are ready to do this. I cannot guarantee that starting the first day this will become a system, but the specialists will be able to do this. But you know the problem. There is lack of keys. No keys are available. I would like to say that recently Mykhailo Yurievich, my colleague from accounting chamber, he said that now Ukraine came up to the stage where we have an issue concerning recognition of our system as a quality system, and this key will be provided and supported by the Ministry of Region and colleagues from counting chamber. Last week, on the 1st or 2nd of October, once again, we completed all those questionnaires and checklists that characterize the state system of control, and we tried to fill in to the maximum concerning all that is in the country, obligations of our service or other bodies of power, who did what. Everything we knew, we included this information, and we provided this to this document, this information to the document, and the results of testing of our system of control. I believe that during these days, this will be in the technical secretariat. It will go to Budapest for confirmation. Once again, and I hope for positive results, and I hope that we will get these keys that are so necessary for your certification. And also, we work not only on methodology, but also we provided trainings for team, for our specialists. And I also want to present introduce my colleague. In our service, we have a special department. Before this was a department in the framework of other department. Now a separate department is formed, and my colleague, Mr. Saenko, he becomes the head of this department starting today. And technically, it's not a problem to do this. The only matter is to get these keys. Here, it is really important to understand that now I understand that time was lost in 2018, and I know the reason why it happened. Because, if after completion of the first or second checklist, if we were sad that you lack in the system of control, some things are lacking in your system, then Ukraine would be able to mobilize itself at the level of management bodies or at the level of Secretariat of the Cabinet of Ministers that deal with all the programs on the whole, and then we would be able to distribute responsibility for implementation of these actions, and we would be able to speed up. But during these years, we as State Audit Service, we feel like blind kittens in this. They say that there is lack of quality, but they do not say what Ukraine should do in order to correct the situation. We do not have such information in full. The last feedback I know about was sent by the Ministry of Region in 2018 in December, and they spoke about the development of provision 1038, and they said about reimbursement, and this was done. And in the future, we should have better communication with DTP at the level of our state bodies. Also, there should be proper communication, and then in the future, we would be able to speed up the process, because this year, 2020, we work as a team with the Ministry of Regions, with the Counting Chamber, but at the first stage, because of communication, time was lost. And let's hope that we will be provided with these keys. And on our behalf, I would like to say that we will fully cooperate with our partners, and we will do everything possible in order to carry out this certification. Thank you. Do we have 5 more minutes? Can we have 10? Okay. We had a question in our chat. Alex Karapadia, given the floor. Good afternoon. Thank you. I can turn on the video. I understood that the project... Please introduce yourself. Do you hear me? Yes, we hear you. Please introduce yourself. This is Alex Karapat. I do not hear you. Ukraine Hydrometeorological Center. We implement a very important work to create a system of hydrometeorological forecast in the basin of the Dniprova. For the economy, it is really important. The economy of the region. I understood that the project on our behalf, it was failed because we are lacking time, and technically our project now at the completion stage. Objectively, we as specialists of the center, we understand the importance of our project. We implement this project using our own money or voluntarily. But practically, our director prohibited to pay any money from our budget because he fears that he will be punished for misappropriation of state funds. I understand, and I address the State Audit Service. Your colleagues will come to us from other departments, and they will do it. That's why I have only one wish. We should prevent this. And we should help us. We should not be punished for being so naive to use our own money for this project. At the same time, I address the auditors. I do not know what system we are speaking about, because I personally carry out this project. All our small expenses that we had, this is about 10% of the sum that they proposed us to use. 4 or 5 visits, some procurements, some experts. I believe that if your specialists want to do this in half a day, they will be able to check everything, and they will see all those expenses, because we did everything in hryvnias in accordance with our legislation, domestic legislation. You should not open Americas here. I understand your problem. You do not have permit, you do not have keys. I understand that you do not have access to our boxes, but I do not know whom to address to the national coordinator or to the Ministry of Regions. And I believe that they failed all this thing. Thank you for your attention. Thank you very much. There was one more comment from our colleague Matvey, I believe. Can we connect him? Do you hear me? Please introduce yourself and turn on the video. Good afternoon. Matvey Kadr. I represent an NGO from Zakarpattia Oblast, the third contest. Yes, we are partners in one of the projects of the DTP. Here, the program was broadly represented. The allocation of the budget and the calculations for Ukraine concerning budget, and and the active participation of Ukraine in this program was discussed. But you didn't voice the information about real funds got from DTP by the partners in Ukraine, because I understand that this is zero. It's a pity that the representative of Slovakia, Mr. Blaszko, said that communication with the national coordinator, the communication with national coordinator is really important. It was stated by our colleague from Slovakia. This is the Ministry of Regions in Ukraine. Unfortunately, there is no representative from this organization during this discussion. But I'm really grateful on behalf of all participants. We thank you for organizing such a discussion, because we hope that the result of this discussion will be some positive changes. And no one will face such a bad situation that now Igor Papadyuk faces and other people, other representatives face now. They spent their money for the projects, and they now do not have opportunity to report on the completion of projects. And they may face big problems connected with the expenditures concerning this money. That's why I would like to bring this information to the national point, all those concerns we have, and to hear from the representatives on whom depend this decision, the solution of these problems, and they should provide us with proper timeline when these problems be solved. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much for your comments. Now, I would like to specify, maybe our colleague from the accounting chamber, maybe you have some comments concerning what was said, what is lacking, and what should be the focus of our attention, and can we forecast that such projects as Ivano-Frankivsk project, as the city council implements, maybe they will face the situation when until October or November we won't get this confirmation. What is your forecast on this? I understand that we won't be able to get an answer now from accounting chamber. Now I would try, please. Thank you, dear colleagues. I would like to support colleagues from the regions who are really concerned with the situation that we face today concerning the creation of the system of control. Of course, we cannot say here, for example, that there are some drawbacks in the audit service, because they face such conditions. It was difficult for them. In 2018, 2019, it was difficult to provide such a system of monitoring. The accounting chamber is the representative of Ukraine. The program of audit, as I've said, as of today, we got from the State Audit Service proper comments. Now we are working on them together with the audit bodies, and we will make this information public in the nearest future, all the comments concerning the system of control. and stage of creation of the system. Separate aspects, they should be discussed with the audit service in order to provide more concrete issues to the audit body, especially concerning these issues. And all these issues will be provided to the audit body in order for taking proper decisions. We hope that the system will find positive, will have positive results concerning control and the issue of financing. And these projects that we had problems, we hope that there will be proper resolution of their problems concerning finances. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, dear colleagues. We're going to end. Do you like to add something? Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Really, this is my first day on the position, and this topic is really difficult. In the State Audit Service, a special structural unit was created. This is one of the main tasks now, to carry out control over the Danube transnational strategy. I'm really glad that you invited me here. Thankful for this round table with all the participants, because I got prepared, I studied the documents, I studied the agreement, I studied all the normative base, but this live communication and highlighting all those problems that we face. As of today, I see the plan of implementation of the most urgent tasks in order to speed up to the maximum, to put all the efforts. I believe that communication is lacking. And in Ukraine, we have a chance to join international projects. We put all the effort to join these international projects, and then there is a problem of responsibilities from both sides, and those people who finance this project, they cannot get this money back. That's why direct intervention of the state is needed to the process. We should accumulate the forces, we should improve our communication, and if we are in the final stage, we should bring this project to the logic end, in order that the state bodies, they should have a proper roadmap how to move forward in other projects and to join more and more projects. You should take responsibility, and then more participants will want to cooperate with you. So the system of control should be created in a proper way, and this agreement was ratified in 2018 and it was signed in 2017. So 8 to 9 months were needed to ratify the agreement that was signed by the government. And in order to sign it by the government, more than a year was needed to translate the document and to coordinate it with all the bodies. And after 2018, we in Ukraine needed about 2 years in order to prepare 2 orders together with a plan of actions. This is to provide you with understanding that this is done in accordance with some timeline, and there is document processing and coordination between the bodies of power. So a lot of time is needed for all of this here. So I'm glad that we had contacts with the counting chamber and the colleagues from there. And there may be some fraud connected with the procedure, and I hope that here we should bring the Ministry of Internal Affairs and their contact point on cooperation with Olaf, and we hope and we believe that they should be included in the process. And from our side, after this event, we will prepare recommendations about the work of the national contact point, because this is not about functions of control, but the management function and management of Ukraine of this program. So we have a lot of concerns concerning the work of the Ministry of Regional Development, and this will be reflected in our recommendations. Moreover, these recommendations will be sent to the Vice Premier on Euro integration and to all the profile ministries, and also to State Audit and Accounting Chamber, and we will keep contacts with you. We hope that in October or November we will be able to complete these procedures. And from our side, as an institution, as a participant of a platform concerning the implementation of the association, we will raise this issue in other bodies that implement the association agreement. This is the Committee on Euro Integration of the Verkhovna Rada and the Governmental Office at the Cabinet of Ministers and Vice Premier on Euro Integration, Ms. Stefanishina. And together with the Ministry of the Regions, we plan to provide them with the results of our meeting. Unfortunately, they didn't join us today. And now I understand that there are issues it is difficult to answer some questions, but you should not hide your head in the sand. And we support our colleagues from the audit service. We should really try to put in more effort to complete this process, because many participants on different levels made their efforts to contribute. We would like to thank our colleagues who got involved and who continue the further implementation of the program. And they provide this trust to this level in order to resolve these issues. We would like to also reinforce communication with the projects, and we would like to organize a marathon of the projects of DTP. We would like to invite the profile ministries that are responsible for the state policy in different areas to improve the dialogue and the contacts with the projects that participate in the DTP. That's why I would like to communicate with projects further, the issues of control and management. We will try to support the implementation, and we thank our colleagues from State Audit Service and the colleagues from the Accounting Chamber. And also we have the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the National Contact Point of the Danube and the Ministry of Regions. They said that they will listen to us, and we hope that among 27 participants, we hope that they heard your position, and we hope that this will influence further work. Thank you, and I would like to give the floor to our colleagues from the Untitled Foundation for final remarks.
Є така можливість.
Do you have such an opportunity, Untitled Foundation?
I don't know what to say, to be honest, because I think with our discussion today, we underlined on the one side the necessity of discussion on that level, because obviously there is a lot of experience, there are a lot of questions, and I think the main task now is to get these things together, that Ukraine especially will know to whom address these questions. And I think the colleagues in European countries, of course, it's a good thing that they are ready to support Ukraine and to help with their experience what is going on. But many of the detailed questions, and like I said, in the implementation of such a big project, like big projects like we're talking about, the whole project as such, the devil lies in the details. And I think the better we can cooperate and the better we have a discussion and a dialogue between experts on different levels to share the problem, to share the knowledge, how to approach, and sometimes even to agree that we can't agree that there is not yet a formal solution to given processes, especially when we are talking about the necessary institutions which needs to prepare and which needs to ready to work according to accepted and knowing guidelines which maybe not yet be developed. So I myself leave our discussion today a bit confused, to be honest, but it's a good thing because it's obvious that we are in a dynamic discussion and that there are so many actors, questions, experiences around. And I think with discussions like these, we only can help to bring all the stakeholders together to support exchange of questions, of problems, and of solutions between ourselves. So I think it was a very fruitful discussion today. Thank you very much again, our partners from the Ukrainian Institute for International Politics, and thank you all for participating and such actively discussing the questions we had and bringing everything we have together to create a solution and to create a way forward, especially for Ukraine, but for the Danube strategy and for the Danube Transnational program as such. Thank you.
Дякую, колеги, за увагу. Дякую Мykhailo Blaszko, представнику від Словакії.
Thank you to all the participants. Thank you to Mr. Michail Blaszko from the Slovakia monitoring committee. Thank you to all the stakeholders.